Gemini friends, Mars will be squaring Neptune from your second house this week. So this means that money and material security can become an area of unclear expectations this week. There might be some disappointing promises around financial matters that unfold this week, or some sort of financial leakage in your life. You might be working hard for money that somehow seems to just disappear. Or you might underestimate the real cost of something, or discover that what you thought was a secure financial arrangement wasn't as solid as you believed. Forewarned, forearmed, my Gemini friends, let's take a deeper look in this video at Mars square Neptune for you this week. This is a video forecast for your Sun, Moon or Rising sign. You can check out all 3 videos and they will tell you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. I'm Ksenia, my friends, and welcome to the Astro News and Weather Report for the 3rd week of August 2026. This is tropical Vedic astrology that I will be using, not sidereal astrology. Look it up if you need to find out about it. And yes, I am a real person, not AI. Don't forget, if you don't want to listen to the information about how the skies will affect us all this week, then you can use the timestamps to skip to your zodiac sign forecast. And now for something you'll really like. Well, hello everybody. I'm so glad you could join us today. Do we have some news for you? I'm here today with my husband, David Warner Matheson, and we are going to be hosting the most amazing astrology retreat and astronomy retreat in the High Sierras at Lake Tahoe. Dave, do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Well, thanks, Ksenia. Really great to join your audience, and the event is called Stars Over Tahoe. It will be in the last weekend of September 25th, 26th, and 27th. That's a Friday evening, then Saturday and Sunday at a beautiful resort in Lake Tahoe. It's really gorgeous. A stunning and special part of the state of California and Nevada and part of the country, and the energy there is just fabulous, and it's a beautiful time of year. And not only that, great stargazing. Go ahead.
Awesome stargazing. So one of the things that we're offering at this retreat is some stargazing tours hosted by Dave. Dave, do you want to just fill us in about what that might involve?
Well, in addition to, during the day, we'll be having presentations about astrology.
Oh yeah, you're going to learn how to read your charts in deeper, more dynamic ways. I've got some great topics to talk about with you. Dave will be sharing about mythology.
And how it's based on the stars, the different stories and characters. And then at night, the glorious mountain air and high altitude will give us a beautiful view of the stars, weather permitting, of course, but at the end of September is one of the best times for stargazing in the Tahoe area. We should see the gorgeous Milky Way arching overhead, and I'll be pointing out the constellations using a laser pointer, many of which you may have never been able to recognize before. You know, a lot of people who know about astrology may know the characteristics associated with Scorpio or Sagittarius, but may have never been able to find them in the sky. So I'll be pointing out some of the zodiac constellations that will be visible, but as well as the band of the zodiac, the other stars all the way up to the dome of the night sky at the North Star and the Big Dipper. Most of us know the Big Dipper and Orion, and that's it, because we never get taught this. We never get taught how to find them. So I'll assist with that.
That's awesome, because it's actually so important. There's a branch of astrology called visual astrology that works mostly based on what is going on visually in the heavens, which is very different than what we see on the astrology map. So being able to sit under the skies and know what you're looking at is actually very, very important to really flesh out your capabilities if you're interested in becoming an astrologer. So this is a really exciting experience that we're offering. Plus, of course, we also have the immersion in the Sierra environment with the pine forests and the beautiful panoramic views, and obviously the gorgeous mountain air and lovely lake itself. Such an unforgettable backdrop, which I'm really excited to experience with you all. We're also going to be having some didgeridoo and sound bath sessions, which will be very very wonderful because it's an energetic reset. That's what these instruments are designed to do. So we will be doing some little adventures that settle our nervous system, because we all live such stressful lives these days. It's hard to switch off and just immerse ourselves in the beauty and restorative qualities of nature. So we really want to support people in doing that as a part of this retreat. And of course, the retreat centre has a lot of nice things like saunas and day spas and all that nice stuff as well.
And in addition to the structured activities, we'll also have plenty of time just to mingle and spend time with Ksenia. If you've never met her in person, spend time with me. And we'll be having meals together, beautiful meals. And it's just going to be a chance to meet new friends and have a wonderful retreat, stars over Tahoe, in one of the most beautiful parts of the world.
So I'm very excited about this. I know we have some great plans for what's going to happen, and we hope you can join us. I've been astounded at how quickly things are booking up already. This is a curated group. It's not like a conference where there's just, everyone can come. So we do have limits on the amount of people, because we want to be able to interact with everybody and form friendships with everybody and create community with everybody who comes. So with that in mind, there are limited spots. So do make sure that you get in early so you don't miss out, and we don't want anyone to be disappointed. So we hope to see you at Stars Over Tahoe, and we look forward to sharing a really magnificent experience with each and every one of you. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks so much. See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you to Ksenia and Dave for that one. Now, on the 17th of August this week, we're going to have Mars making a square aspect to Neptune. Now, I would say this is the most important aspect forming this week, although do keep in mind that we are actually still in the eclipse gateway phase of eclipse season. We're coming up to the lunar or full moon eclipse. So the eclipses are actually the most powerful manifestors of this week's energy. Mars square Neptune will just be secondary. I hope you all got to enjoy the individual 20-minute solar eclipse forecasts that I did for your specific sign, so that you know what's going to be unfolding for you in the next 6 months of your life. I was so excited by what I saw for almost every single sign that this eclipse was bringing you. If you missed the forecast, you can use the link in the description below to catch yourself up with what's going to unfold because of the recent solar eclipse, and get ready for the new lunar eclipse videos that will be coming out in the week ahead. But now, Mars square Neptune on the 17th. This is an energy that stirs up in us very strong desires that really, really want to be expressed, especially if those desires are related to Neptunian themes of unconditional love, soulmate connections, compassion, being a spiritual warrior for the good, and tapping into your creative intuition. You want love, and you want it now. Mars energy wants to make it happen. Or you hunger to fight for a compassionate cause, and nothing's going to stop you. This is the positive expression of Mars in a square to Neptune. But it is a hard aspect, obviously, and therefore it is not without challenge. Neptune is often associated with scandal. So be sure that your passions and your actions don't lead you into the murky depths of gossip, ruined reputations, hurt and disappointment. And if you see those things unfolding in your life, you'll know exactly where they're coming from. So keep calm, seek to be as rational as possible during this time, avoid being salacious, and cling to your faith in the goodness of the universe, and you'll get through this time with aplomb. So in a nutshell, let's have a look at what Mars square Neptune can bring us. Well, we can have trouble filling our desires. We want the desires, but they're eluding us in some way. We're perhaps feeling some intense and very idealistic cravings, but we might be limited in how we can take action around them. We might feel insecure or too timid. Mars energy is somehow thwarted. You might use indirect or underhanded means to obtain what you want now. Mars usually likes things straightforward and straight up, but Neptune brings some fog into just going directly for things. You might be very straightforward in your dealings with others and choose to leave what's unsaid or the rest in the hands of God. That's another way this energy can express. Success and accomplishment, they're not really favored this week because of this aspect. This aspect only forms about once a year, but it is a time when moving ahead, accomplishing our entrepreneurial dreams and goals can be a little bit held back by Neptune's mistiness. So it's not really associated with great success unless you're looking for success and forward momentum in a Neptunian field. Creativity, art, music, poetry, things like that. We also need to be very, very careful of deception and fraud and trickery. We need to be very careful about being exploited by our peers and associates in the week ahead. And women especially need to be very careful. If you're going out to a party, make sure somebody accompanies you home, or that you drive yourself home or something like that. Don't walk home in the dark, that kind of thing. I hate saying that, but it's just the world we live in, isn't it? Women need to be extra careful this week and guard against assault or the onslaught of perverted people. Unfortunately, they're everywhere. Romantic dealings may bring out some disappointment and depression as well this week, because Neptune is this romantic idealism and Mars is this anger, and they're joining in a rather unfriendly square. Sometimes also we can't distinguish between a fantasy lover and a real love when we experience Mars and Neptune square. So that's something to be careful of if you've just met somebody, or you're just moving out in the dating scene. Be extra cautious and careful. We can also find that our sexual fantasies are really heightened now. So if you're in a loving relationship, that could actually serve you very well. You could have a lot of fun. Also, sexual restraint and caution can disappear. Just back to what I was talking about earlier, try, if that's the way you're feeling, more uninhibited, more power to you. Just be really cautious and careful about who and where and when you exhibit that with. You can also feel a lot more experimental with Mars in a square to Neptune. This is the planet of high-level love expressions, Neptune, with passion and sexual expression. And we want to try a few things out. So enjoy. Energy can be a bit laggy though. We can feel really frail or really tired and worn out. That's very annoying to me because I've just managed to get myself into a new exercise routine, and the last thing I want is to feel too exhausted to be able to make the most of it. But it's only for the week, folks, and then it'll dissipate as the separation of these two planets squaring each other occurs. So hang in there. Also, be a little bit wary of poisons and toxins and unnatural substances. Keep things as organic as possible. Nourish your blood. Mars is the blood, with green leafy vegetables and iron-rich foods this week, lest you feel more drained, and that, Neptune can sort of act a bit like the South Node sometimes and drain our energy. Also, avoid drugs and alcohol. Neptune is drugs and alcohol. Mars in medical astrology is to do with inflammation. And sometimes, if we have some drugs or alcohol, it mightn't go well with us under this square, and we can find our body getting inflamed as a result, or heated or something as a result. That in mind, I know sometimes we can't avoid it. And as I said, it's eclipse season. That's the major energy this week. So don't be too panicky about what I'm going to say. But really, it's not a good week to schedule surgery when Mars, which is the planet of cutting, it's the planet associated with surgery, is in a difficult aspect to Neptune. Things can be a bit misty and clouded for the surgeon operating on you and not quite clear enough. We can also find that if you're seeing a specialist, correct diagnosis of problems can be very difficult under this energy. Now, I often get, when I share some negative influences of planetary energy, I often get people commenting in the comments saying it's very wrong of me to cause fear in people and to scare people. Well, that's a legitimate comment, I guess, but, we all lap up the good vibes of each planetary interaction, and we take that on board. Please consider when I share some things that are perhaps a little bit on the scary side that we just need to proceed with caution and care. Make sure the surgeon or the professional diagnosing us actually is fully alert and, haven't come back from a big long lunch with a few glasses of wine or something. We need to take precautions during this time. And so I share these types of things not to scare you, but to forewarn you and forearm you to help you make good decisions for your life. Now, there can be illusions and deceptions that come from medical practitioners now, which Neptune is sometimes associated with, particularly pharmacists, etc. So do your own due diligence. Do your own research around the medications that you're taking or the treatment that you're getting, and really dig deep so that you're not deluded, you're not deceived. We can also be a little bit more susceptible to infections with this square, and there might be a little bit longer recuperation time required from any procedures, etc. We also need to be very cautious in our dealings with the police and the military and mechanics. They're careers that are ruled by the planet Mars, and of course Neptune making a square can make things dealings with the police or the military or mechanics a little bit obscured, a little bit unclear. We take our car into the mechanic, he tells us what we need, and we're like, what? That doesn't make sense, I'm not understanding why I need to, I came in to get my tires replaced and you're telling me I've got to replace the carburetor or something. So be very careful and cautious and do your due diligence and research yourself with regard to your dealings with the police and the military and mechanics. But in the plus side, and there is always a plus side with all aspects, you're going to be more inspired and more imaginative if you are a creative artist. You might produce great music or paintings or poetry or work on film. Just recently I've been feeling like, I need to get back into my sewing. I need to get back into painting, which is something that I love to do. And that inspiration has been sort of sitting with me for a few days now. It would be a great energy to take action, Mars, around those artistic endeavors under this influence this week. We should also be careful in a personal way with our interactions with others in taking on other people's problems and expending enormous amounts of energy rescuing them, helping them, or supporting them. In other words, martyring ourselves and, blowing our vitality and our energy and our enthusiasm, Mars stuff, on giving away to people who don't deserve it, really. Be very careful about martyring yourself. We can also feel very drained by relationships. But let me clarify the kind of relationships where one person is continually giving, and the other person is just taking. So Mars square to Neptune can just absolutely leave us exhausted if we're in a relationship like that. So they're just a few of the expressions of this energy. Remember, it's not the major energy this week. We are in eclipse season, but you might notice some little snippets of this energy unfolding around you in your life. Now let's take a look at how this is going to play out through your sign. Gemini friends, Mars is squaring Neptune from your second house. So this is where we're feeling this energy of perhaps a bit of delusionment or a bit of trouble manifesting what we want in the house of material possessions, money, income, and personal resources. So this can be one of the more immediately tangible experiences, let's say, of this transit. But it's only going to be here for a little while. It's coming on the 17th of August, and then Mars will begin to separate from Neptune. Money during this time in the lead up to the 17th of August may not behave as you expect it to. So an anticipated payment could be delayed. That's so frustrating when that happens. I mean, the banks and the bill collectors expect our money immediately, don't they, when things are required? But when they are required to pay us, they can take their damn time, it seems. So don't be surprised if you are finding things delayed around this time. An expense could turn out to be considerably greater than you expected. So proceed with caution when you're spending at this time. Things may not be what they appear to be on the surface. I've certainly found that since moving to the United States and finding everything's got extra tax on top of what is advertised. It's not like that in Australia. Something that you thought was financially secure might prove to be less certain than you thought. So it could be an investment, but it could be, a material purchase. This is a sound material purchase, be it, a new couch, or be it a house or a car or whatever it might happen to be. It could even be something small, like if I invest in, I don't know, this Chanel skirt that I found at the local thrift store, that's going to be a really good investment. I can resell that on, Facebook buy swap and sell and make a profit. You come home and try to sell that skirt on Facebook buy swap and sell, you can't sell it for quids. So something, it could be large or small, that you thought was going to be a financial winner for you or provide more financial security or material security, turns out to be less beneficial than what you first imagined. You might also find yourself, Gemini, working harder for money without receiving the return that you anticipated. And it's only for this week. I'll just remind you that this energy is at play, and it is just an energy. You're not to blame. In fact, the environment that you work in or how you earn your money is not to blame. It is simply an energy at play. And after the 17th, things will begin to soften around that in the future. So alternatively, you could become highly motivated with Mars in your second house, motivated to improve your finances, but you might also make decisions based upon some optimistic assumptions rather than, looking at your budget and doing the solid numbers, working out the figures and being realistic. Neptune can make us a bit fanciful, a bit lost in a daydream and a vision rather than earthly reality. So that's something to be forewarned and forearmed about and to work around as well. If you are going to do something to improve your finances and go you good thing, because, Mars in the second house wants things to, wants to take action around this. If that's what you're going to do, make sure you do your due diligence on whatever it is that you're going to undertake, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's an investment, whether it's in your market stall to make a few bucks on the side, whatever it is, do your research and look at your budget. This is particularly a period to be cautious around financial promises. Somebody might say that they're going to pay you, they're going to reimburse you, they're going to contribute or invest. They might purchase something for you. They make all sorts of pie in the sky. Yeah, don't worry, you'll get your money off me. Or, yes, I'd love to buy that car off you that you've advertised on Facebook, buy, swap and sell. And then they never show up. It happens far too often, doesn't it? That's the kind of energy we might be experiencing this week. Somebody doesn't come through with their promise around a financial agreement. There may be people who fail to fulfill a financial obligation as well. You might discover that their intention was not as concrete as you assumed. My Facebook buy, swap and sell analogy is far too real, far too real. My ex-husband, who's a rockabilly performer, he once wrote a song called Tire Kickers, and it was a very popular song. And it was, as the name suggests, all about people who want to buy that fancy old car in the rockabilly scene, but they are never going to commit. They're just there to sort of pull your chain, basically. Quite an amusing song about this exact kind of situation that I'm describing here. So, as I said, forewarned is forearmed. You'll know if something like this crops up in your life this coming week up until the 17th of August. You'll know to just take it with a grain of salt and not be too disappointed if things don't go the way you perhaps are led to believe. There can also be unnecessary expenditure that happens this week, driven perhaps by an emotional desire to make yourself feel better. Be careful of that. A bit of retail therapy, if it's kept within check, never really hurt anybody really. But thinking I'll buy this and then I'll feel more happy, more safe, more comfortable, more secure. If you're going to buy a big ticket item, don't do it this week based on that premise, because disappointment, Neptune energy, will likely ensue. Rather, if you've got a big ticket item to buy, do consider it. Do wait until this energy has passed and, perhaps go and buy something small to satisfy that retail therapy itch in the meantime. So friends, do keep an eye out this week for vague financial arrangements, for impulsive purchases. Do keep an eye on any unpaid invoices. Make sure that you're up to date and everybody who owes you money is up to date. And do also watch out for assuming that money will arrive before it actually does. Give things a bit of leeway and wriggle room this coming week because of the energy that's at play. So the best use of this energy for your advantage is to make your financial circumstances extremely concrete. Check the numbers, confirm the payments, get agreements in writing, not gentlemen's agreements at all, and leave a bit of a margin for unexpected expenses. Doing that, you can't go wrong, and you will come through this week with flying colours, my Gemini friends.